Hey guys, just reaching out today. Kind of gonna go more into what it's like training while heartbroken, and what's been carrying me through, how I look at it, and just a little bit more about me. So, without going into a 20-minute video talking about all this, because it goes deep. I've done a lot of reflecting in my life and orientated my life to growth, no matter how painful the cost is. You always hear um, things worth having don't come easy. Um, if it was easy, everyone would have it. So when you truly believe that and you shape your conscience, your ego around this belief that, even training the body trains the mind. I've been in the gym since I was 13 and very limited time missed from the gym. The most significant time was in boot camp, where I was in the Navy. And then the moment I got out of boot camp, I'm hitting the weights again. But a little funny thing looking back on just how disciplined I've been and what kind of building blocks that does for personal and character development. And it, it's just ironic how things fall in place. But anyways, training for me has been a challenge. It's second nature to me. So it's not like something I can just throw into this grieving process and feel like I'm changing for the better. It's who I am. I live I live going to the gym and training my body. So for me, the alternative was to learn, to educate myself, to figure out what's happening. So lately, my gym sessions have been podcast, listening to books instead of just typical music or motivation or along those lines. And my partner and I, that was one of the biggest things we were attracted to each other and had in common. We both trained every day, and she picked my brain, picked my mind, really made me feel seen and valued, and it was just a magnetic pull towards her. And anyways, she would train like me eventually, and she would be more more open to letting me get some extra reps with some assistance, because at first she would be like, don't touch, and she would get so 0 100. But so, and for a while I've always kind of looked at this is my god-given gift. I was blessed to be consistent, strong, and disciplined to partake in powerlifting and bodybuilding, and it just was a pull within me. And then as I got older, wiser, heard conversations, and it's not, I planted the seeds. It's not always about chasing success or trophies or this title. It's not always, you're not going to always have this ability to endure this or undergo this. And then when you're young, you don't think about all this stuff. But it goes pretty deep when you actually look at how this changes your trajectory in life. But yes, that's one thing we shared in common a lot, and I've come to a place now that I want to give this gift back in a way that really changes people's lives and habits. And I grew up in kind of a ignorant kind of knowledge and awareness when it came to nutrition and food, and they don't teach this in school or anything. But my drive in the gym led me even to nutrition and so much more. So I wanted to find a way to pass on um, my gifts and actually help people. And this is kind of what led me to also hopping on YouTube and just kind of, I don't know, explaining, talking about my life and the experience. And I might as well. I mean, if this can help someone, it's more along my morals and my meaning and purpose in this life. So yeah, training has been hard, but I've been choosing to show up. That's a part of it. I started going to church 3 weeks in now. That's a part of it. Showing up for that, and doing a lot of the inner work. Learning about attachment styles, the science of emotions, and then Carl Jung and the psychology part. I mean, there's so much that goes into understanding the ego and the self and the conscience, and we don't really realize how much we're living in the subconscious. So I've always had a good bit of discernment when it comes to faith and religion, but for whatever reason, people kept, Christians in particular, kept aligning myself while I'm in this dark, hard time, barely holding it together, and just having my preoccupied, anxious style mind. And I like to believe that I'm predominantly a secure person, but when you have this understanding, and how these nervous systems are interacting with each other, and why they're like this, and it's not like they're, to get to a place where you see that it's not necessarily intended God, to be cold or despiteful. It's their way of doing what they know best to survive, that provides safety and security for them. And it hurts because, one, you you find the pain of what they had to go through to get like that, and then it also is like a mirror on yourself. It's like, man, what kind of upbringing did I have that made me to be wired this way? So there's a lot going on in the mind, and a lot of people in today, emotions and feelings are not pleasant. They're uncomfortable, and it's just one of those another things. Like, we have to learn how to be able to sit in that and to grow from that. Pain causes growth, and it's beautiful, and it's super painful at the same time. And it comes with time. You can't just like flip a switch, and I don't know, like, you just have to keep showing up and tell yourself this too shall pass. And I'm finding a lot of comfort and a container to put this amount of love that I had into this relationship, and with this future, that this vision that I had with this person. And working in this, I work as a mail carrier, so in Arizona and Phoenix, and it's summer right now, so long days, hot days, no AC, trying to overperform in a pretty much classic avoidant, anxious style partnership. And as the anxious person, go figure, I have all this insight, I've done all this inner work, and you know all this, and you're the one that feels the full pain, and it seems like the other person is just motionless, cold, and like it's not even affecting them. And you're like, how could I feel so intense, but they be so distant and cold, and hot and cold messages. And then you learn about psychology, human patterns, and then you, at least me, I get to this place where, and I always told her, I want her to be the happiest, the best version of herself, whether that means me or not. And that was one of our foundations to this relationship. And I also wanted, if we ever do get to that point, I just want you to make it make sense. And that puts a lot of pressure. But the amount of love that I want to offer, it kind of demands reciprocity. I want that kind of commitment or reassurance back. If I don't, I turn into a stressful situation. And there's been times where you get emotionally flooded and you overreact, and anger is something that most men compress, and it's this shadow that it's usually something in the past that we haven't processed or dealt with, or given that version of ourselves the love and care that that person needed. And our mind doesn't have this understanding of time, like something in the past could happen, and based on how we react to that can still come up later in our adult lives. And it's a way of projecting our worst fears onto our partners, and it kind of becomes a tragic story, and it's very painful. And it doesn't mean it wasn't any less painful for the avoidant. It's just they're processing it much differently. They're focused on independence and sustainability and autonomy. Anything that kind of interrupts that, they can't regulate themselves. The emotions do get through when they aren't doing these strategies that they've developed over their lifetime. It's fascinating. It really is. And when you put your compass as love, like even when everyone disappoints you or betrays you, like you can still choose to show up with kindness, love, forgiveness, understanding. And I've always was that person in this relationship, and I've been that person for quite some time before coming into this relationship. And my ability to actually, unfortunately, sit in my feelings, that leads me to a lot of insight and understanding. And I'm grateful that even in this darkest time, like I personally felt a connection with God, and it wants me to explore Christianity and give it a go, wholeheartedly read the Bible for the first time. And that's a way for me to put what I'm feeling into a container, and like just to use my creative mind and my imagine, like just all these teachings of what the Bibles are talking about. And then you watch videos and you get more context, and it's just a huge exploration. So I started that journey. Trying to possibly break some records at this meet, which would be my records. Life has been pretty challenging, but I'm going to do the best I can. I probably will put some training content up, probably once a week for that, and the rest is just, for now at least, talking like this, letting you guys get to know me and stuff. And so you gotta start somewhere. I had a cool little quick story, cool English professor in college, and one of his lectures, he was saying, start, and we actually had a podcast project we had to do. But anyways, he was saying everyone that does something for the first time, they're gonna be shitty at it. So you write your first paper, you have a rough draft. Well, that rough draft is gonna be shitty. So it's just the consistency and the reputation. And I know I have a whole lot of that. So honestly, I just want to connect with you guys and talk about this journey. And if it helps, if it uh, inspires young athletes coming up in the sport, or you can watch my training videos and get an idea of what some strength training could look like. So yeah, I I'll see you next time. Hopefully tomorrow. I'm gonna try and stay consistent with this. I do very little pre-work on these videos, so sorry for the rambling on, but I try to summarize what's growing all through my head. So, anyways, it was good seeing you guys. Until next time.